monthly dark moon dream reflection chat. I'm really excited to talk about this past lunar cycle. But first, I just want to check in. Alexis, how are you doing today?
I had a bumpy road of a day, but I feel great now. So love
Yeah.
that. How are you feeling?
I feel pretty good. It's been a busy day. Like I was saying, I definitely I was organized and with my time management today. So I think that made me feel really good. And I feel that I kind of um like contracted time, like I manipulated time because there was so much I had to do, and I got done like with an hour, no, 2 hours to spare. Like I was like able to sit and crochet for an hour and listen to a podcast and then get ready for our podcast. So I think with that said, and usually how I'm just like always breaking neck like at the last minute, I feel that it was a pretty good day with that said. So I'm happy.
Good. I love that. I love those days because you just feel so accomplished. Like it feels like weight off your shoulders when you just knock out a ton of stuff in one day.
Yeah. And, whenever we come together to do our live chat, our podcast episodes, we automatically just enter into like a really high vibe or just like a good space. And then afterwards, it kind of sets the tone for the evening and it just feels good. It feels right. So I'm always happy to have these live chats, with you. So,
Absolutely. Me too. Thank you. Yes, the mood the mood pickup is fantastic. Like
yeah.
I had a crazy day and as soon as we got on the pre-chat, it was like whatever. I do
Yeah.
have to say, at the end of my bumpy day, before I got home, I went to Burger King and they gave me like four extra chicken nuggets than what I ordered. So I take that as a
Wow.
win.
Oh my gosh, that's nice. That's abundance.
It's like
So,
out of
hello.
everything, but
Yeah. No, I love that. And that's the thing you want to really, if you can, those little things mean so much, like in that type of day too that you've had, where it's like, oh, because it could just keep going and going and going to like this thing and this thing and this thing annoyed me. But yeah,
yep,
you did have that win and you just can feel yourself shifting into like a better mood. And yeah, you're like, okay, not everything is like fucked or annoying or whatever. We're
exactly.
good. Things are
We're
good.
good.
So I'm really happy about that. And I just want to say hello to everyone listening. If you're live, feel free to say hello in the chat. Let us know how your dream space has been over the past month. What we're going to be doing here tonight is we're going to talk about the dream space over the past month, that being since the new moon in Taurus, which was on April 27th. So we're going to check in with the dreams. If you had any recurring dreams or symbols or themes, feel free to pop it in the chat. Let us know if you were able to record your dreams, like if you were really, I guess, productive with that, if it was easy or if it was hard to get to. Let us know. We'd be happy to hear about that. Jace is here. Jace says, good evening, ladies. Hi, Jace.
Hey, Jace. Good to have you here.
Yeah, he says it's been weird the last few weeks. I agree with that. Like,
I 100% agree with that.
yeah. All right, so we have just a few announcements. We'll be really quick with this because we have kind of a lot to talk about tonight. Even though it was weird in a good way, I guess, or like the dreams that really came through, I would say. So I'm really excited to talk about that. But first, let's just do a few announcements. So on June 3rd, Alexis and I will be hosting our Dream Circle online. And I just froze. What happened there? Can you see me?
Yep,
Oh,
you're good now.
okay. I was like, I just glanced at myself, I froze. Um, but yeah, so we're hosting our monthly dream circle on June 3rd. It's online, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And this is actually our last dream circle for the season. We'll be back for the fall season. So we're taking the summer off. We have a lot coming up and we're excited to share what we're going to be doing. But in the meantime, we would love for you to join us for this dream circle. And again, that's on June 3rd. You can register via the link in the description of this video or in the show notes on Spotify. As we've been mentioning about our dream circles, it's just an intimate, sacred space for us to come together. You guys can sit with us on Zoom. We can see your face. You can share your dreams, any questions or thoughts you might have about anything that we discussed, or maybe we haven't touched on it yet. We'd be happy to sit with you all and, just engage and connect on dreams, astral travel, and mysticism.
Absolutely. And another announcement I'd like to make is that I'm sure, as you guys know, we've mentioned it a few times now. We both are working with a developing dream app called Dreamigos. It's a wonderful platform where you can record your dreams in a variety of different ways. You can keep them private, or you can publish them to something we call the Dreamline. So this allows you to share your dreams with the community, and it also allows dream experts like Urania and I to help with interpretation and guidance. So you can find that app on the App Store, or you can find it on the Google Play Store. So download it today, sign up, see what it's about, and you might have one of us interpret one of your dreams.
Yeah. And the link is also, you can check out their website via the link in the description of this video too. So I have a dream, or I have a, yeah, I have a dream. I have a dream class coming up this Sunday on June 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern time. This is an online class. It is called The Sacred Art of Dream Divination. And essentially, I'm going to be sharing my methods and techniques on dream incubation, right? Or setting an intention for your dream space. And I'm really going to focus on asking the right question, quote unquote, the right question. I'll be talking about how to create the whole, experience or ritual, or set the intention and how to embody it. But I think what's been really helpful for me recently with this technique is the question, asking the right question, knowing which question is appropriate for what it is that you're desiring at the time, what your inquiry is essentially. So the information, the link to register is in, of course, the description of this video. Again, it's on June 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern time.
That sounds like so much fun. Honestly, it's a class that I probably need to take. I feel like figuring out the questions to ask my dream space is one of my most difficult things. And to really get a better understanding, like this sounds like a perfect class for that. So I also am teaching a class. This will be at a metaphysical store in Washington, New Jersey called Gaia's Gifts. And I basically will be facilitating a class where I will help you create a personalized dream work practice or ritual. So I'll go through sleep hygiene. I'll go through how to create your dream altar, what deities or higher self you can include in your journey, and how to set the ritual for nighttime and morning time so you get the best results for your dreams and you're able to record them. So if you haven't registered, feel free to check the link that we're going to put in the bio. And I hope you can make it. It's this Saturday, May 31st from 1 to 3 p.m.
Yeah, that sounds so exciting. I looked at the outline for her class and I was like, damn, I really want to be there because it's an actual workshop. Like you're definitely going to get so much out of it. You're going to learn a lot. And I mean, just looking at the crystals you're going to talk about, I'm not going to say anything else, but it looks really good and I'm really excited.
I'm so excited. So when you come to the class, you'll get a worksheet, and basically you can fill in as you go. As I teach, you're gonna fill in kind of what you want to use within your practice. And I'll send you home with that completed so you can start it up at home. And then I'll also be giving you a 3-card tarot pool around dream work to take home with you too. So you'll have some guidance in pulling tarot or oracle if that's what you want to do.
Awesome. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
All right. So we are just going to jump into our chat tonight in reflection of our dreams since the Taurus New Moon, April 27th. So as we're recording this, we're live chatting and recording, it is May 28th. So it is 2 days after the Gemini new moon. So we are in a new lunar cycle. So I want to ask you, Alexis, what did you have any, or one, overall, what are your thoughts, your feelings about your dream space over the past cycle? And do you have did you have any recurring themes or symbols or anything like that?
I would say the recurring like theme would be messages, like unable to grasp a message, unable to get to a message, but having it come through. It almost feels like, I don't know, like these dreams never had their ending. Like I still need to dream the last part of the dream to get whatever is being gifted to me. So that was a really odd experience, but I do feel like I had a lot of profound dreams and dreams that I really should sit down and like decode all the ones I wrote down for this cycle because some of them really were incredible. Like even if they were short, they were very sensory based, so a lot of smells, a lot of feelings, like and just so they just ended so abruptly and so weird. Like it just they like I feel like I still need to finish the dreams. It was a very odd experience, definitely. And when I share my dreams, I think you'll have understanding of why I feel like I just need to continue these dreams.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Um, for me, my dream recall was like, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't, I've had worse times like during that, I think it was the Capricorn lunar cycle. It was really, really bad. I think I like wrote one or two dreams.
Yeah.
This time I didn't write in my journal, which is crazy. I didn't write in my dream journal, but I engaged with, like, I shared my dreams with you, Alexis. I shared on Dreamigos. I shared with Jace. So when it came to reflecting, I had to like go to all these different sources and collect the dreams, which is kind of cool. And I'm really actually glad that it wasn't that many. It was probably like I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dreams. So it was manageable. And as I mentioned just now, that like the dreams that I had that I remembered that I shared and noted, they really like came through. They were profound and very direct in the guidance and the messages. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm always grateful to share. The recurring theme I had in my dreams was restaurant dreams, which I I'm seeing, or I'm kind of gathering basically that I think this has to do with the fact that I'm restructuring my business, like my work, and like some things are dying within my work and my offerings, and I'm creating a new, and I'm literally in the in between, but more so on the new side of things, like the birthing aspect of it. And so the restaurant dreams are really annoying though, because it's like I can never catch up, right? Which is like if I worked like primarily like my professional experience, the bulk of it, aside from like me doing, what I'm doing here, astrology and all of that, and dreams and tarot, and aside from that, it's like all restaurants and random jobs here, like at a bank, and random shit sprinkled. But so it makes sense that when I'm dealing with work related things in my waking life, that I would be having these dreams with restaurants. But it's just like, oh, I'm just so like burnt out with these dreams. And it's like I kind of hate working in restaurants at this point. Um, and sometimes I feel like I don't. But anyways, I'm not even going to go into the details. But that was a recurring theme and I guess like symbology of my dreams. And it's been kind of wild. So I know we're going to share directly our dreams. However, I did want to point out one thing that I've been noticing in my dreams. I know you had a dream like this. I don't think it's a dream that you're sharing. I'm only going to point out one little thing, but also with a client. And then there was one other person too, but there's been dreams about like visitations and being injected
I
with
am sharing
something.
that one.
Oh,
I
that's the one.
am sharing
Okay.
that one.
All right. I won't go into any more detail, but yeah, there's been like these dreams of like visitations or taken to a ship. I mean, like alien abduction type experiences. And I'm all for it. And and I'll let you share your dream. It'll be perfect because we're already talking about this. But the dream, just briefly, that I had was crazy because I felt so much pain in this dream. I've never felt like, I don't even know if I've ever felt pain in a dream, right? Um, But basically I was in the dream, I was getting, and I didn't know who was putting like implanting something, but it was some sort of device in between, like it was on my lower back, and it wasn't like in my body, but it wasn't outside of my body. It was like in between. And when I
Ooh.
sat up, it was okay. But when I like bent over, it was just like it wasn't like a stabbing type pain. It's hard to express. Like it was just like this like really uncomfortable pain. And I woke up, and thank goodness I didn't have any pain, but it was so intense that I woke up with an anxiety attack. And then in the same night, I think it was after that. So I went back to sleep, and then I had a dream that I was getting injected with something. And like when I woke up from the first dream, I was like, oh my gosh, am I like, somewhere with like, is this like extraterrestrials? Because I've been like really diving into that recently. So, but then everyone else started having these dreams too, like this month. And I was like, okay, what's going on? So, Alexis, I'll let you go ahead and share
Oh,
your dream. And
yes.
I'm looking at this time on my on the back end of YouTube, and it's 555. So,
Oh, it's funny. Before we get right into that, I wanted to comment on the dreams of you being in a restaurant.
yeah.
In relation to your works, you're like in the waking space, restructuring with your work. It's almost like your dreams are taking you because restructuring work is uncomfortable in a variety of ways because you're changing and growing. It's almost like it brings you back to where you were uncomfortable in the past. Like, not
Yeah.
necessarily that hated being in restaurants, but it's a lot of work, and it can be uncomfortable. So that's what came to my head when you were talking about that, like bringing you to a place where it was uncomfortable and busy.
Yeah.
But
And the fact that like what I wrote down, like what came up to is like I can never catch up. Like it's really annoying. I can never catch up. And so like one of the things I'm trying to pay attention to, like those first like thoughts or feelings, of course, that you have when you come out of the dream. So I'm like, okay, do I feel that I can never catch up? And that's true, because like I said today, like this was a day where I actually managed my time efficiently. And if I didn't get something done today, like it's okay. Like
yeah,
I try to be at 6 o'clock. I'm off my computer. I'm not doing like work related things. If I am, it's going to be like me reading a book and taking notes, or me like, but I don't want to be sitting at my computer.
yeah,
So I think that was kind of a message there. But now I'm definitely going to be paying attention to those dreams.
absolutely. So I'll read my first dream because it has to do with the injections, and then I'll just let you go into your dream from there. But this one, it was I thought it was so interesting that so many people had a similar dream experience around the same time. So this dream I had was May 21st, and I dreamt I was in a forest with raised trees covered in moss, and they were growing over a rock field. So they were like huge boulders, and then the roots from the trees going down the boulders, like almost like a waterfall of roots. And it was just like covered in moss. Like think like
Oh, yeah.
Twilight
Yeah.
forests, like
Yeah.
covered in moss.
That's so
And
beautiful.
and I was chilly, I was cold, it was really damp, and smelled of like that wet grass and like cedar, or like a scent that was sweet, like what a cedar would smell like. It was nighttime and the energy felt off, but I felt I was so this is the one thing about recording your dreams when you wake up, is like some of the writing is
You're
just
like, what was that?
illegible. Okay. Felt like moving. My God. So I felt like I was moving towards something. I was climbing upwards, grabbing roots and branches to get higher. The the void. Oh yeah. So where the trees shoot out, rather than it turning into like just nighttime sky, there were no stars and it was just void. But before it, like imagine like literally just nothing, and kind of almost like that blackness of the night falling onto the trees.
Mm.
So the void was covered in fog, and it was right above me. And then I was pulled out of that dream. So it was almost like I was about to reach the top of like this clearing of forest. And as I was moving upwards, I was like pulled out of this dream.
Mm.
Um and up like pulled upwards. Like I watched it kind of like disappear from below me a little bit.
Wow.
And then I was dropped elsewhere. In the next location, I was sitting on a coat with someone who was familiar to me, but I couldn't quite make out who they were. It could have been multiple people as one dream person. That happens to me sometimes.
Mm.
And they were sitting on the coat with me, and all of a sudden, a doctor rolled in on a rolly chair and started to try to administer an IV or a shot of some sort. He kept injecting me over and over again and failing until I awoke. So that was the dream that was in correlation with this injection theme for some reason showed up in a bunch of people's dreams.
Yeah. Was he ever successful, or did you just wake up and then that was it?
I just woke up. Like I
Yeah.
woke up after a long series of him continuously failing to imagine like the same rewinding the same scene over and over again. So like
Wow.
he does what he needs to do on the cart, pulls it out, tries to put it in me. It fit like he hits not a vein or whatever. It like kept going around
Hmm.
it,
That's
and
interesting.
like it just rewound that over and over again until I awoke. So
How did you feel when you like woke up?
I felt unnerved, a
Hmm.
little anxious, but like it was a little bit unnerving, especially because my pain wasn't as extreme as yours, but it definitely could feel that pinching over and over again.
That's crazy.
Not when I woke up, just when I was in the dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just felt unnerved. The whole thing was very interesting, and I really liked like the being pulled out of one dream into the next is always interesting because it's almost like a character is really really big and just like pinches me and pulls me out. Like I don't see anybody, but that's what it feels like. It's so weird.
That's what I was envisioning when you were saying that. And I was thinking it was like you were almost like in your, like at one point I was like, okay, it felt like you were in another place, right? Just the way you describe the land. I mean, and that could be somewhere in the in the or well, on Earth. But for whatever reason, I'm like, oh, maybe you were somewhere else. But then it was like you were almost experiencing just like your normal dream situation, and then it was like, oh no, we're pulling you out of here and we got to do this real quick, which
Yeah,
is like that kind of feels like I mean, it could be all obviously for entertaining the idea of extraterrestrials. It could be like something like, okay, like you're going up to their ship or you're being like, I mean, it is an abduction, maybe not from like your bedroom, but from, like the scene in this
my
dream.
dream.
Right. Yeah. It's like I'm living my dream life. I'm traveling like I usually do, enjoying myself. And like, what the fuck? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah. Jay says just like a giant hand picked you up. Yeah.
And it's
That's what
interesting
I was
because a
getting.
while ago, and I know I'm going to botch this up because I haven't talked about it in a while, but me and my husband used to talk about the idea of like different beings from like different dimensions. And there was something that because he's really into like science podcasts, and there was something he had seen at the time or like listened to at the time where these beings in relation to us could like basically do surgery without even penetrating our skin and us not even know it, and like there was theories that were going on,
Yeah.
and it makes me think about that kind of thing where like I can't see it, I can't totally feel it, but it's there with me. It's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. And it's like I can relate to that because the dream that I had, like it wasn't, I don't know, like I don't remember someone actually, like I knew it was put there, like in the dream, there was definitely like communication, right? Not like talking, but there was just like it was like a knowing. But I know it was like almost if someone was like putting it in my mind to know. And it was like there was something there about vaccines, and then there was something there about like it was helping to raise my vibration, like as far as like what they were communicating about this. But it was weird because it wasn't like in my body, but it wasn't outside of my body. And the past couple months, I've been having really intense, well, I wouldn't say intense, it varies in degree, but I definitely have like lower back pain. And it's been on primarily my whole left side, primarily is what's been like very sensitive, and what I would say going through integration. Like it's either my back or like my kidney or like my shoulder or like on my like upper chest. Like it's just all of this, it's all been activated. And it was just so interesting. And like around that time, I wasn't really having any sensations. I feel like that was like kind of towards the end of it. Like of course I wake up in the morning like a little stiff, but I've been doing yoga pretty much almost every morning when I can. And so that's definitely helped. But I was like, and then the injection part, I don't know. But then it's like a part of me, then I start second guessing myself, and I'm like, oh, Urania, like you want to be abducted. And you, like, I used to have this whole story when I was younger that I was abducted by aliens, and I was really into X-Files. Like I like went to the expo, had all the paraphernalia, like I was really into it. And so I don't know if it was all because, maybe there's a fascination for a reason. And then there's a whole, element of sleep paralysis, which I was experiencing like around the time I started, I guess, having that story and watching X-Files or whatever, who knows? So that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I
It's
don't know.
very Aquarius of you.
Very Aquarius, right? My Capricorn is like, what the hell are you talking about? And my Scorpio is like, let's dig deeper. Let's go
Mm-hmm.
deep with this. Like,
Uh-huh. I get that. Yeah, I mean, X-Files, once you start watching X-Files, it really, your brain kind of goes wild. I saw one episode and I haven't
it's
thought, like, I haven't
crazy.
forgotten it. Like, I have never forgotten this one
They have,
episode of X-Files, and I never freaking watched the show, but that just
yeah,
stuck with me.
yeah. There was some really weird things going on. Not to mention, I had a crush on David Duchovny. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I used to write his name on my note. I was so weird. So, yeah, so
I
it was a
love
whole
that.
thing. So I never know. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, am I just like, is my psyche just, but the sensation of it was like crazy. Like it was like, okay, like that's the most sensation, whether pain or anything that I felt in a dream. And so I'm just like, but
Also,
then
what's going on that like a ton of people have experienced this type of dream? Like what is it just kind of like collective unconscious? A lot of things in the news right now are talking about aliens and
yeah,
stuff, and there's, astrological predictions of when um, you know, aliens might,
yeah, like
contact
what?
us. There's
Yeah,
astronomical, it's there's a anyway,
astro,
um
yeah,
but it's
astrological, yeah.
it's out there. So is it something we're all going through as a
I think
collective
it's in that
unconscious?
collective unconscious.
Yeah. And we're all like tapping in, or,
Especially because like the speculations from many sources, like I remember recently, this was probably actually like last year, towards the end of last year, one of my teachers from like years ago, she does predictions, and she was talking about like extraterrestrial contact. And I was like, okay, like I'm not surprised with her. I'm like, yeah, we know, like you bilocate, you do all that, so it's not like it didn't really stand out to me. But then I started hearing it from other sources, and then I started connecting with Bashar's teaching like obsessively. And like they're all pointing to like this window between now 2025 and 20, like 20, I think 2025, 2027, but it can be as far out as 2030. And it's like it's going to be an acknowledgement and a confirmation on a level that we will not collectively be able to ignore, like or not the powers that be, but like the governments and stuff. Like, we've been having little things come up here and there, and like you were mentioning Alexis there, like we both like saw articles pointing to these radio signals, I believe they were coming from like a distant galaxy, but it was like it wasn't like the radio signals that they would expect. It was basically like interference. And
mm-hmm.
they were like, I mean, it seemed, just speculating because they don't really know, they're still learning and doing research with it about it, but it seemed like it was like something intentional, like an intentional interference, which
Yeah.
pretty much be done only by like intelligent life. So,
Yes.
I'm just like, all of these things are, I don't know. And then I had clients telling me about, dreams they had about being abducted, like being in a ship and being injected. This was like literally like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So I'm just like, well, I'm excited. I'm ready. I believe in you. So we're good.
It's so funny because when I think about these things, I think about like two scenarios. I think about like Men in Black, where all of the aliens are disguised as humans, so like we don't know they're here, but they've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
But then I also think about the beginning, no, not the beginning, it was maybe halfway through Independence Day with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And everybody's like go at the top of this tower in New York City, ready to greet the aliens. And they just like blow up the building all these people are on.
Right.
Like
Yeah. I
those
feel
two
okay. Now I remember
things.
that scene. Yeah, no, it's funny because you did mention Men in Black. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before.
One of the days.
Um, yeah, but you're just like kind of joking around about it. And then today I saw something about like, oh, where the real men in this is where the real Men in Black are hiding out or something, or like right. And I was like, all right, okay.
Yo,
Like,
once I saw Men in Black, I was like, this is just how it is. This is how it is.
I will
Like
be
my
surprised
mind
because I'm
just
looking at people.
accepted
I'm
that
like,
and I'm like,
okay,
this is
you
cool.
look.
We're
Some
good with
people
this.
just look like aliens. Like, I mean, I have one friend, and they literally have like Orion in their name, and they kind of look like an alien a little bit. Like I can kind of see it because I'm like, okay, so what's your connection to Orion? Because of course I'm thinking astronomy, but then it was like they wouldn't tell me. They were like, oh, that's kind of private, and I'm like, you're an alien. Okay, cool. Especially now, I'm like,
Yeah, yep,
now I
you
know.
just told
This
me.
is like a couple of years ago, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I'm gonna ask that question again.
You
So,
should 100%. And it's just funny. Like I saw the movie as a kid and I just ever since then just accepted that that's probably how things are and just whatever. Like whatever. I like that more than I like the way that the aliens are in Independence Day and I much prefer the Men in Black aliens.
oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
a hundred
yeah,
percent.
yeah,
Because Independence Day, they just wanted to kill everyone, and I'm not about that.
yeah.
So
No, I'm not gonna fill into that one.
no.
We're not. Yeah. So Jay says, it's been quite a while since I've had a dream with pain. Most of the time I become incorporeal, so nothing would be able to cause any pain to me. I learned that from practicing from my youth and dreams. It's one of the things I was taught by my sister in my youth. And then speaking of abduction, I always seem to be left behind in those types of dreams. The last one I had, they did come back, and that is where I experienced the spaghetti effect. Oh, you have to tell us about that one day.
Yes,
The
please tell us
spaghetti
about the
effect.
spaghetti effect.
Okay.
I want
Yeah.
to know this.
Yeah. Because
Is
that's
it
the
like I feel like I said this last week, but like there's this one episode of Rick and Morty where they go to another he goes to another dimension to get a specific type of like dead person's insides that turn to
oh
like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
perfect bolognese. It's
Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna have to like find that episode and watch it.
I
I love
might just send it to you
yeah, you should
because
send it to me. I love Rick and Morty.
it's so funny and it's so stupid. I love it.
All right. So, wow, that was just a fun chat. Like my dream is kind of serious. But that's okay. So, let's just see. All right. So, oh, actually just to add about the alien conversation. So, I on May 3rd I had a dream with my cat. And this was really interesting because this is my cat that passed away, I think 2 years ago. And he ended up living with the neighbor. There's a lot going on with my house, little child or toddler, a big dog, another cat. Like he's a prince. I will call him Prince Wiz because he needed his own space, and he's funny. And plus he was always in other people's houses, and this person just fed him and whatever. But it was across the street, and I liked the neighbor, so it was fine. But anyways, he passed away with the neighbor, or at the neighbor's, like in his care. And so yeah, I had this dream on May 3rd, and he was in the chair in my living room just sleeping, and I walked out there and I saw him, and I was like, what you're dead. Like I would definitely have the awareness. And then I don't remember exactly how it came to be, but in the dream, he said that, or I learned that he didn't really die. Oh, I got a phone call, probably, I think it was from like an animal hospital or something, but they said that he didn't really die. He was in a coma and now he was adopted by another family. So fast forward to another scene, which seemed completely unrelated. So this was the next scene. I think this was second person. So I was actually like watching this. But there was a guy who had lost his brother and girlfriend. And sorry, trigger warning. It's a little I mean, it's not graphic, but it's not a good scene. But basically, he had lost his brother and his girlfriend, and they were killed by someone. And so I was seeing the aftermath of the scene because they got killed in the car. Um, and then I remember I was confused about what happened. And so then the dream rewound itself. Like it just replayed the scene again. And then I was able to actually see what happened. Um, and then I don't know, for whatever reason, because I've been learning about, they're called hybrid children, which are, it's a whole thing, but it's dealing with extraterrestrial, and some people who have connections with extraterrestrials, especially if like you have been, if you have experience or feelings that you've been abducted by aliens, or say if you're having these dreams of like being implanted or injected and you feel like there's some connection there, they say that, like I've heard theories that those injections or like those situations, your DNA basically is being extracted, not against your will, like you've agreed to this beforehand supposedly, but they're taking your DNA and they're creating hybrid children, which are going to have, they're extraterrestrials, but they have human DNA. So we're coming back to the Men in Black, where they're like, at some point, they're going to be on Earth and we're going to coexist with them, right? But they're like half human, or not half human, but I don't know what the breakdown is, but they're human with, they're extraterrestrials with human DNA. Anyways, so one of the channelings that I was listening to from Bashar, basically he was saying that someone was like, oh, well, how do you know if you have hybrid children? Like, would they contact you in your dream? Or like, how do you know, like, how would they show up in your dream, basically? And he was like, more than likely, if they're going to connect with you through dreams, they're going to connect with you as an animal. Especially if there's an animal that you're connected with, that you're very close to, whether it is a deceased animal, like, or like when I have, dreams about panthers, or just an animal that you feel connected to. So anyways, I came around to that and I was like very curious. I was like, oh, wait, because it was like interesting. It was in the same, or it was 2 days after the implant dream. And also I just woke up and I was like, I had this feeling that Wiz, or like, what if this is my hybrid child and now they're with another family, the family that lost the brother and girlfriend, and they're being support or learning from there, or maybe Wiz's spirit is with them. I don't know, but that's kind of where I went with it. So
I
I
kind of love that.
just
That's
want to put that out
it's
there.
like they found each other in the afterlife
Yeah.
or in the ether.
Mm-hmm.
You're not there yet.
I was
So
like, yeah, I was like, what? Yeah. So that was really interesting, I thought.
that is interesting. Wow. I love that. Because it kind of also kind of just gives you this like comforting feeling that your cat is being taken care of.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I was like, wait, he was in a coma? That was so random. So I didn't really dig deeper into it, but I thought that was kind of cool. I was like, okay. Jay says, yeesh, I must have a ton of hybrid kids then. I was like, wait, tell me more about that. Um,
Just
are,
all these hybrid
wait,
kids running
you gonna,
around.
right?
Jesus.
Are you getting injected like nightly? Um, okay, so here's my dream. This dream happened on May 11th, of 2025. This was the day before the Scorpio moon. So I know I had this in the morning of May 11th. Also, I don't need to share a lot. Okay, personal transits. Okay, so I was driving a friend home. The friend was Alexis. And she was really sick. And at some points it seemed like she was driving, and at other points she was guiding me. She was taking a different route. She was acting odd and not talking to me. We arrived at her place and I saw her mom having problems with her car. I offered to drive her. She gladly accepted. The mom also referred to me as Portia after I introduced myself. I told her that my family calls me Portia and everyone else calls me Urania. Her husband, or wait, yeah, her husband, son, and elderly father got in the car. So she basically had also asked, can I drive the family too? So Alexis, you were in the front seat, and then somehow the rest of them, you know, your dad, her, and a brother that I guess you do have a brother, and her elderly father got in the car. Is your mom's dad still alive, or is it the one that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, so she then questioned if I was able to be a temporary driver to her father if needed. I told her sure, as she would need to give me a minimum of a 2 hour notice. She said, I've heard this before, but she would think about it. When the family went to get in my
What
car,
the
I
fuck?
gave them a heads up that it's rickety, but it gets you where you need to go. I began driving and it was hard to see the road as there were animated animal characters in the way. And also like random, like it was hard to tell if it was animal characters but there was something like weird happening there. I knew I was going straight, but I could not see ahead clearly. At one point, we may have been in the clouds, though I'm not
Ooh.
sure. We were driving for a while, and so the whole drive was kind of like a blur. Like I didn't see where we went, but obviously it was a good time because we were driving for a while, and when we arrived back at their house, they were extremely happy about the trip and were ready to pay me for it, and I accepted. Alexis was still very sick. She said she had the worst abdominal pain, which I think is probably a reflection of what I was feeling at the time. But anyways, she said it felt different from nausea. In the dream, I instantly thought she might be pregnant. When I went to leave, I noticed it was snowing and I was worried about driving home as my car was not the best in this weather. At first, I couldn't find it, but then I did. I got in the car and it wouldn't start. Like I couldn't find my car, but then I found it. So I got in the car and it wouldn't start. I tried again and the car sprayed me with some fluid. And then I realized I entered the wrong key. The fluid kind of came from the dashboard, basically. Like
Also,
sprayed,
ew.
right? No, it was gross. It was like brown liquid. Um,
Ew. Oh God.
so I went back to Alexis's parents' house to see if they could help me. The mom came out happy to help. I popped the trunk to reset the car, and it was filled with brown liquid inside. And I closed the hood. The mom said, "Oh no!" I came to look in the car, and the dashboard lights were messed up from all the water damage.
Oh
I
my
could barely see
God.
the numbers on the speedometer. I considered driving it like that, and then I woke up. I also say in the dream when my car was not working, I was upset that my mother didn't get me a new car. I was going back to her house in the dream and didn't want her to worry about me. So yeah, that's that.
What a dream. Wow. First of all, the fact that like I was there with my family always cracks me up. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned it here and there a couple times. You didn't tell me the dream, but you
Yeah.
mentioned it here and there, and like I just thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
So a few things really stuck out for me. First of all, the rickety car. To me, that was like okay. When we think about the car, we think about like our almost like ourselves or ourselves in the journey,
Mm-hmm.
and like how maybe at this point right now things don't feel super stable because you're like restructuring your whole business, you're going through different things, and I feel like that aspect of the rickety car could really reflect that aspect of your life just not being like super easy at the moment. um but the animal characters cracked me up. Like what's that? Like it's almost like I don't know,
And they were cartoonish though. Like it was
cartoonish,
like
yeah.
animated. It was so weird. I felt like everything like in the car, it felt really light. And it was like we were going up into the heavens. It was, and then it just kind of like I don't remember, but it was like it was a good time because like your mom was so happy. Like they were so happy when we got to the house and they were like, we're gonna pay you, and
The
so it was
fact that
interesting. It
you
was a good
felt like
ride.
you were going up into the heavens, like it's I didn't get that from how you were describing it,
Yeah.
right? When you just said that, it
Yeah.
like completely took a different turn. It almost felt like allowing yourself to have that fun, that play, like that
Yeah.
childlike connection to really enhance the experience of change that you're going through right now.
Yeah.
And then
But like saying heaven, it was more so like the lightness of it, I would
oh
say.
yeah,
But
no, no,
when I
no, that I
visualize
got
it,
that for
yeah, it's
sure.
like the clouds, like the big fluffy clouds and like a bright blue sky.
Yes, and it just makes me feel like that with the cartoon characters, like very connected with your childlike
Yeah.
spirit. and which I feel like is something right now that I also am like trying to connect with,
Hmm.
um to remember that like I also need to play and not be so hard on myself for like having downtime and enjoying myself. So that stuck out to me. And then the couldn't see your path clearly. I like I've had dreams where I can't see when I'm driving. My path isn't clear. And it's just so reflective of like me being in contemplation and making several decisions and not knowing where I'm going to end up right there. So immediately that came to like mind of like, all right, there are these decisions are going to open doors, and you can't see what path you're going to end up on quite yet, but you're like right there.
Yeah, that resonates because like that's one of the things I've been really intentionally doing is just not worrying about the destination. I'm just like, okay, like I'm just gonna do it moment to moment. I'm just gonna follow
And
like
you were rewarded, you were given
synchronicity.
money
Yeah,
for that, like
yeah,
you did a great job and you were rewarded for it. And I feel like that's a great thing to look at as
yeah,
it something to look into with the future like to come, is that like things might be rickety and weird right now, but like you're just riding with the flow and doing what you need to get to the path of like fortune and reward and like abundance. um I also laughed when you thought I was pregnant.
right. I know that was
um,
like the twist. I was like, oh shit.
but you know, it also makes me think about the collaboration we have like with our podcast, and just like I'm on this journey with you to an extent, you know, and I love that.
Yeah,
Um,
especially if people in your dreams reflect an aspect of you anyway. Like it would definitely
yeah,
make sense, especially how it's like you were driving, then I was driving, and it was like, but you were going a different way, but somehow we got to like your parents' house. Like that's where I was taking you. So,
yeah.
yeah.
And there was something like too, like, you know, we have moments, different podcasts that like episodes we've had where like I won't feel great. So you'll kind of take the lead. Or you don't feel that great. So I'll kind of take the lead. And it kind of brought me back to that.
Yeah.
And then the I've had dreams where I couldn't find my car. And I feel like that's just like uncertainty,
Hmm.
like really coming through. But what was interesting is your ability to start the car, but it didn't start the right way and then filled with water.
Yeah. And I
That
noticed I was like,
was
oh, it was the wrong key. Like I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's the wrong key.
but that was so like symbolic to me, like your car kind of filling up with this brown water, which I think of when a river is flooding. So
Yeah.
I've always lived on the river, and when a river is flooding, it gets really brown and like
Yeah.
dirty, and like it's so quick and it's so fast and it's so dangerous,
Hmm.
and it almost feels like some kind of like emotional release coming
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing to experience, but maybe just like a not a warning, but like
Yeah. No, I definitely felt that.
but then everything kind of working out in the end, you know, I don't know. What a incredibly symbolic dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Oh no, I woke up before I drove, but yeah, I mean, that was a dream that I had at like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I like sometimes I'll have dream full disclosure, like lately. If I have a really profound dream in the middle of the night, I will have a chat with Chat GPT and be
I love
like,
that.
like I put it in there and then see what they say. Cause I'm like, I need to know. It's too late to like
But
no one's
nobody's
up,
awake.
right? And
Like,
so yeah, so it was really interesting. But yeah, no, it was definitely that was the dream of the week, I would say. So or of the cycle. Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, I'm still perplexed
Yeah.
at just how much came through with that. And like it makes sense. I know this was a very interesting dream cycle for me. And just reading your dream, I feel like a lot of, you know, symbolism came through in a similar way, where it was like one thing after the next, after the next, after the next, and it told a story.
Hmm.
Um, but I just, I think that was an incredible dream.
Yeah. So what you got? I know you got one
Okay,
more.
I was like, I don't know if I have enough time, if I
Yeah,
should tell,
definitely.
but I'll share the last. So this was kind of like my big dream. I wanted to share the injection dream because it was just so
No, I'm glad you did. That was that.
interesting, and the correspondence, like the synchronicity of other people also having this type of dream, it just was weird, like overall just weird. And absolutely like that Aquarius energy coming through for sure, at least for the two of us. I don't know about the other people that
Yeah,
you had.
hey, if you're or those of you listening and watching, let us know if you had any kind of dreams dealing with extraterrestrials or like injections, implantation. Where I'm just curious if if this is my own like circle of people that are just weird, or if it's like actually like happening a lot.
Hey, I guess we'll find out.
Right? We will.
So I had this dream on May 15th. I don't know if there was anything significant about that day, but um I was standing in what felt like a mall market. It kind of reminded me of the mall, like my local mall that has been since shut down and absolutely demolished. Like it's literally just piles of dirt and then a Kohl's, because Kohl's refuses to like let go of their lease. Like they have signed their lease for like the last 10, for the next like 10 years. So
Wow.
it's just like the end part of the mall that was the Kohl's and then just piles of dirt. But when it was an actual mall, there was an area in the mall that was it was across from the Annie Ann's, and it was like a motherhood store, like a store for maternity wear.
Okay.
And so when I was in this market, I was outside of the store that would have been in that mall, but it was completely like it was like the mall, instead of being torn down, was turned into like a market per se. So my mom had just come out of a store where a psychic was set up. She commented on how amazing she was, so I went to stand in line for a ticket. I was behind a woman with two girls around the age of 6. While she was paying, I was looking to where the psychic was giving readings. Someone was leaving the psychic, so her curtain was drawn back. The psychic was just ahead, larger than ours, much, and poked through fabric. She had light foundation caked on, a mole above her lip, bright red lipstick, heavy eyeliner above and below her eyes. She also had a mole on her right cheek, too. She looked inhuman, in a way, and I couldn't put my finger on it. While I was watching her, a taller, thin man with a ton of black spots all over his face and body, holding a girl, cut me in line. And when I say holding a girl, like he had like a daughter he was holding in his hand who was like 5. So they cut me in line. I said something, but he refused to acknowledge. I let it go, but I was annoyed. I watched him walk over to like a seated area that was across from me where they were waiting to see the psychic. I only had a short amount of time to see the psychic before I woke up. So I knew that like this was a period of time where I had a dream. I had woken up, went back to sleep, and had an idea of when my alarm was going to go off from there.
Oh,
So
okay.
within the dream space, I was aware that I was dreaming, and I knew that I only had a short amount of time. Because if you dream, your dreams feel like sometimes a lot longer in time, when or like really, really short.
Yeah.
So I had an idea of what was going on. Um, but I did start to get a little anxious and stressed out because somebody had taken my spot within this line, and I wasn't sure that I was going to see the psychic. Then the lady got my attention and called me up. I went to grab the money, which was $10.27. I handed her a 10, but then had to dig for change inside of my purse. I kept trying to grab the coins, but I got distracted by how much cash I had stashed in this purse. I like looked down, and like the bottom of my purse was the change, but I just had like rolls of cash. And I was like, because I'm aware that I'm in the dream, and I'm aware of where I am financially. I was like thrown, and I just kind of thought, I'm like, I do wish this was waking space because I could use this right now. Um, so I kept trying to grab the coins, but I got distracted by the stash I had in my purse. Finally, I was able to hand her the change, but it dropped and the 2 pennies rolled away to a point I couldn't get them. So I gave her another dime instead of 2 more pennies. I was perplexed and slightly embarrassed, but sat in an armchair next to the register and started to get excited again. I was looking around the room, and across from me, this man that had, wait, and saw across from me this man that had flipped me off. No, he was the one who cut me off. I flipped him off.
Yeah.
He was grinning at me in a very condescending way, so I flipped him off because it pissed me off. But at that moment, the whole room had seen me, and like there were children there, and they were like gasping, like people were gasping. They were like so offended by me like doing this thing. So I was ashamed for a moment, but then the attention was shifted, and an older Spanish woman was next to me. She had what looked like tattoos on her face, and I asked if they hurt, and she started to talk to me in Spanish. I kind of like was trying to listen to what she was saying, but I don't know Spanish, so it really didn't do me any good. She then bent over and whispered directly in my ear that it was just henna, which felt really weird that she wouldn't just say that out loud. Then the two girls from before, so the person who's the first person in line right now who's waiting to see the psychic, the two little girls ran over to me. They were smiling and giggling at me. I complimented them on their dresses because they were wearing very sparkly dresses and their painted nails. And then I woke up and I never got to like see that psychic. The line never moved. And it was just kind of like I kept getting distracted and preoccupied and
Yeah.
not able to fulfill this quote unquote quest.
Yeah. And like that's really standing out to me too, as far as so just thinking about what like seeing the psychic, what that would do for you, how would that feel? Like, I mean, there's definitely a focus on you, but then you're getting distracted and giving attention to all of these other people. So I definitely see that stands out to me. And I mean, there's just so much going on in this dream, like so much, like with the money, that as well. Like it's,
It's
yeah,
always really weird to be very aware within the dream space because there is this like intertwined feeling where you kind of feel like you're in the dream and out of the dream, and it's very odd.
yeah,
And I just remember this psychic was so inhuman. It was so outside of me. It felt
would you like inhuman and kind of like what ways would you say? Was it just like her essence or like
the
did
entire
she look
essence,
did
the
she look
entire essence.
human? Like did she look
Oh
human?
no,
Oh,
she was just like a head sticking out from fabric, but her head was huge, like huge. Like I mean like
like almost
huge.
like I'm thinking about what is that Studio Ghibli movie? Was it Howl's Moving Castle? I don't know. There was one of them where like the woman's like head was like really, really big.
It almost reminded me of like the Wizard of Oz,
Mm-hmm.
where
Mm,
like I think I'm remembering this right. It's a big floating head, but it's all but instead of the
yeah.
guy being behind it projecting it up, it's
Yeah.
just a real being. And like it's almost like they're visiting this area. You know
Yeah.
what it almost reminded me of is like behind these curtains and behind this fabric was nothingness or another realm.
Yeah, like it's almost like there was like having the fact that her head was
Too
the one,
big for the space,
yeah,
basically.
but it was like there was a curtain covering the rest of her or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like that was even like a veil
Yeah.
some way where it's like that was, yeah, like crossing or meeting with her, you potentially may have crossed into like, yeah, like you were saying, another realm.
Yeah. And I woke up And I literally woke up and I was like, well, that fucking sucks.
Right. It kind of
Because I
reminds
couldn't
me.
sleep anymore. Like I had to get up and go to work. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
sleep anymore. And like I might dream incubate that tonight.
Yeah.
I might dream incubate that and try to tap back in because I'm so curious.
Yeah. It reminds me just the energy of that dream that I had with the fortune teller ladies. Like not the same, but like it's a place, like it's a kind of an in between. Like it's like in between this and like and especially like you being aware, like and being like, okay, I have only a little bit of time here before I'm going back here. So it's like, there's still like that in between theme happening there too. And like the knowing the exact change, like the exact amount, like 1027, that's very specific. So I'm like, I wonder if that means anything. And also the fact that you, like, when I think about you losing 2 cents, so then giving them a dime, where it's like, that's not a big deal. That's great. I mean, but then I feel like there's like, again, it kind of goes in line with giving away like your time, your energy, or like in excess, right? Um, and it
I
just,
also,
yeah.
sorry.
No, I'm just gonna say it's like not paying attention to what you have going on and you drop that. And so then you have to like give a little bit more.
Yeah, and I feel like that really is strongly symbolized in the dream too, is I'm distracted by things that are taking me away from something important. And I feel like it's a direct reflection of me being distracted by things in the daily.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm here. I froze. And speaking of distractions, I didn't realize that the door wasn't locked. So we have a guest. Um, but yeah, no, that was a really good dream. Let me check out the comments here. Um, oh, Andrea's here. Hi, Andrea. She
Hey,
said,
Andrea.
is this a video or is it the replay with the live text chat? We're live tonight.
We're
Good.
live.
Wow, look at this wild and crazy child. Hey, you can go in there, Nas, right? Bye-bye. I'm just gonna close and lock it so we can wrap up. Yes, we are live. Okay, so Andrea says hello.
Hey,
So I'm
Andrea.
glad that you're here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for being here. So Jay says that it seems like there are distractions to your goals, or like the people, I
Mhm.
guess, representing that. And then he said maybe it's good you didn't see her. So I don't know. It
I
depends.
don't know because it didn't feel like a danger. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And it almost felt like I allowed the distractions, like even the distraction of me getting angry with this guy,
Yeah.
allowing my emotions to get in the way, allowing kind of like uh, financial stuff to get in the way,
Yeah.
um, unnecessary information, like distractions that just don't need to be. And but overall, I would say that it definitely felt like a travel, and the all of the people in there just felt so bizarre. It's just so weird. But that's how my dreams were this cycle.
Yeah.
It was just very odd.
Yeah. And I would say as far as my dreams, I echo that experience of being like really aware, like in the thought process of like not just lucid, but because for me, I wouldn't say it's like the typical lucid dream where whenever I'm like that lucid in a dream, I feel like there's a time limit, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna slip into just like not being lucid, or I'm gonna like the dream's gonna collapse. So I'm like, okay, like what are we doing? But in this case, it's just like subtle awareness in the sense of like conscious living and like the dream living. And so yeah, I mean, it happened this morning, and that's in a new cycle of dreams, so I'm not going to share that. But it definitely, I was like, oh, this is something of like what's happening now, or this is like this particular home. So there's definitely been a lot of that key awareness there, which is really cool. So
Absolutely. I do want to make a observation
yeah.
that I want to check in with next month. So last night I had a very brief dream, but it was a zombie apocalypse type dream, and there was a lot of blood, like, and a lot of death. And I woke up this morning and got my period.
Oh,
So,
yeah, wow. And that's like, I mean, that's the end of a cycle, the end and the beginning kind of.
yeah. So now I'm curious to look back on my dreams and look forward in my dreams and see if there's a correlation to that.
That's pretty interesting. I love dreams.
Me too. Why would
Well, speaking of distractions, I should probably wrap this up. But thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for being with us live. Thank you for listening to the replay. Do you have any, final words or anything that you want to share before we
no,
wind
just,
up?
if you guys are having a lot of dreams, write them down, reread them, decode them, pull cards to see more about them and relate them to what you might be experiencing in the waking. It
Yeah.
is so important and helps with so many things. And it's also just fun. So I wish you all the best on your journeys dream traveling.
Yeah, I second that. So, very well said. And with that, we will see you all next week for another live chat. Good night, everyone. Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.